Thank you for waiting. At this moment in time, we'd like to invite first-class passengers to board the aircraft. Thank you for waiting. We now extend our invitation to exclusive, superior, privilege, and Excelsior members, followed by triple, double, and single platinum members, followed by gold and silver card members, followed by Pearl and Coral Club members. Military personnel in uniform may also board at this time.
Thank you for waiting. We now invite Bronze Alliance members and passengers enrolled in our Rare Earth Medal Points and Reward Scheme to come forward, and thank you for waiting. Thank you for waiting. Accredited beautiful people may now board. Plus, any gentleman carrying a copy of this month's Cigar Aficionado magazine, plus subscribers to our Red Diamond, Black Opal, or Blue Garnet promotion. We also welcome Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald members at this time, followed by Amethyst, Onyx, Obsidian, Jet, Topaz, and Quartz members, Priority Lane customers, Fast Track customers, Chosen Elite customers, Preferred Access customers, and First Among Equals customers may now also board.
On production of a valid receipt, travelers of elegance and style wearing designer and/or hand-tailored clothing to a minimum value of $10,000 US may now board. Passengers in possession of items of jewelry, including wristwatches, with a retail purchase price greater than the average annual salary of a mid-career high school teacher, are also welcome to board. Also welcome at this time are passengers talking loudly into cell phone headsets about recently completed share deals, property acquisitions, and aggressive takeovers, plus hedge fund managers with proven track records in the undermining of small to medium-sized ambitions. Passengers in classes loam, chalk, marl, and clay may also board. Customers who have purchased our Dignity or Morning Orchid packages may now collect their sanitized shell suits prior to boarding.
Thank you for waiting. Mediocre passengers are now invited to board, followed by passengers lacking business acumen or genuine leadership potential, followed by people of little or no consequence, followed by people operating at a net fiscal loss as people, those holding tickets for zones rust, mulch, cardboard, puddle, and sand might now want to begin gathering their tissues and crumbs prior to embarkation.
Passengers either partially or wholly dependent on welfare or kindness, please have your travel coupons validated at the quarantine desk. Sweat, dust, shoddy, scurf, feces, chaff, remnant, ash, pus, sludge, clinker, splinter, and soot. All you people are now free to board. Who picked these opening words? As Tranquil Streams is our hymn. It's number 145. join in the words of our unison affirmation? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. So be it. And now we have an annual event. Sarah Getty was a writer and a poet, and she is remembered on that tree of life in the back, and inscribed on that leaf it says, Sarah Getty, almost famous. And one thing that contributes to her fame is the legacy of the Getty and Koshik families, and they are prepared to recite her greatest of poems, Spring Cleaning.
Spring Cleaning by Sarah Getty. Open the house, let the sun roar in and corner the huddling dust. Let the March wind tear down cobwebs, sweep out crayons and cookie crumbs. Christmas needle smell of vapor, rum, and smoke. In the brisk new daylight, get things straight. Clean the hall closet, organize your desk, go through your wardrobe, your game plan, your old loves, sort, evaluate, throw things away.
Remove the victims of winter's grudge, littering the yard like a battlefield. Haul away the big black branch that's lurked there like a beach squid since January. Lop off its limbs and stack them. Rake slimy leaf rot off the tulip beds. Let clean heat reach the bulbs.
Root out the old hurts, the cozy unsuccesses. Forget that your sister wasn't at your wedding, that your father didn't seem to like you much. Get rid of the birthday party no one came to and the men who never asked you out again. Bundle the demeaning medical procedures and leave them on the curb.
Pile up the lost job, the student evaluations, the ideas of what your in-laws should be like. Burn them. Burn the time your 6-year-old came home from school and you weren't there. Burn the anniversary evening that wasn't fun. Burn the bad poems and the rejection slips.
Be ruthless as March. Be a lion. Under the clean-limbed trees, be fierce and neat. Hunt out the beasties that fatten in the dark. Let the sun scour. Let the wind prowl and pounce. We remember Sarah.
Give it up for Sarah. Good morning and welcome and happy spring. And someone said to me this morning, Merry Christmas. I probably should explain this thought to ponder that is up here. On the edge of the pew at First Parish, a one buttock place to be. We actually made bumper stickers with this at one time. Benjamin Zander is the conductor of the Boston Youth Symphony, I believe, and he wrote a book about musicianship, and one of the things he said is that musicians shouldn't rest too heavily back on their backside, but rather musicians, to perform their best, should lean forward, anticipating the next thing to happen on one buttock, eager, anticipating. And that's the way things are around First Parish. So if you find yourself on one buttock, that is the way we like it around here. Welcome if you're here for the very first time. It will be an unusual experience if you're here for the very first time. And welcome if you have been here a long, long time. We're glad that you are here together. And I meant to particularly welcome Wendell Smith, who is here wearing his shorts. A man of true faith. Stand up so people can see your shorts. There's his leg. Yes, it's a man of great faith. If you are here for the first time, there are blue cards, connection cards, ways of staying in touch with us. There is a welcome table on your way to community hour. Check us out and we'll check you out. And there are announcements in the back of the order of service, and there is a website redesign going on, and if you'd like to know more about that, there is an event later this morning about that. Also, in great faith, on Wednesday, there is a spring sing. Spring is a season that comes around this time of year. Flowers and warmth and sun and things like that. And we'll sing and have words about that experience. Make sure you bundle up Wednesday night. But it's at the VA hospital. And it's really a great experience for the people at the VA, and they don't have all that many visitors, and it's a really great experience for us to meet their residents and to perform a bit for them. So come if you can Wednesday night. And then also Thursday, we're going to have a series of spiritual reflections about the experience of being a sanctuary church. And this is open to everybody, just a way of deepening our awareness of what it means to be a sanctuary. And everyone is invited to that, whether you have been a volunteer or have been supporting Sanctuary in whatsoever way. That will happen Thursday evening. And then finally, I call your attention to the coming of Reverend Billy and the Stop Shopping Choir. Now, if things have been strange up to now, it really goes over the top when Reverend Billy comes here. He is from New York. He will have a choir of more than 20 people with him, a gospel choir. It drives Bill Rabinowitz in our sound booth absolutely berserk because Reverend Billy will be preaching from the top of his lungs, and then he'll be down whispering, and he'll be pounding, and there'll be the 20 gospel singers behind him. The first time he was here, their encore consisted of a rendition of the First Amendment in gospel form, and everyone in the audience was on their feet waving their hands to the First Amendment? You've got to be kidding. It's part politics, it's part religion, and it's part theater. And it is a whole lot of fun. So I really do encourage you and friends to come Saturday night. He'll be here Sunday morning as well with a different kind of show Sunday morning. But he'll be with us for Earth-a-luia, Earth Day weekend. And there are some things that I need. I first of all need you to come Saturday night. It would be horrible to play to an empty house. And the second thing is we need some help with home hospitality. If you have a bed or two that can accommodate a choir member or two, let me know, because they're coming here and need a place to stay, and as I say, there are going to be more than 20 of them. So speak with me afterwards and look on our website. We have posters, all kinds of other things. It's mentioned in today's Boston Globe. Reverend Billy and the Stop Shopping Choir. And I've probably talked everybody out of being a new member around here by now. But we are going to see if there are people who are still willing to be called members of this congregation. and recognize them. And it's important that we do this a couple of times a year because our governance, our polity, is called congregational governance. And that means that the members of this congregation are the ones who determine everything that happens here. Hiring and more likely firing of the minister, for example. That is a responsibility of the members, determining what we spend our money on, what our priorities are. These are things that members do, and that's the only way that we operate. No one else tells us what to do. This congregation is owned by its members. And so I'm going to ask our clerk, Rebecca Green-Neal, to come forward, and also members of our membership committee, and they are going to be providing flowers for new members, and I think that there's a cake for new members in Community Hour, and flaming chalice pins. I'm wearing a flaming chalice pin. Our flaming chalice is lighted each Sunday, a symbol of liberation and freedom. And I always say that there is one rule that goes with having a flaming chalice pin, and that is that it is not to go into that bowl on your kitchen counter that contains all that junk, all that effluvia and dust and who knows what. Instead, a flaming chalice pin is to go on some article of clothing that you'll actually see and that other people might actually see once in a while. So that is the rule. And also, we have some other swag for new members, including refrigerator magnets. Hey, you know, join the church and get a refrigerator magnet. And truly, you get our respect and our affection and our community. That is what we are about. This is our community, and we recognize new members as members of our community. And so I'm going to read the names of those who have signed our membership book since the last time we recognized new members. And as you hear your name, if you are here present, come forward to be suitably greeted and feted and swagged by all of us. And so I start with Carrie Amazine and Martha Gruson and Astrid Cruz and Richard Leshak and Meg Leshak. And Dan Smythe is away caring for an aged mother. But I think that Rich Sewall is here. And I don't know about Sabrina McLean, but this is who we've got. And come on over here and be suitably greeted. Yes. Yeah. And you step over here and take it away.
All right. Friends, you have joined a free church, a church with a proud heritage. No creed will bind your heart or mind. Live and speak as freely as you are able, with charity, integrity, and courage.
And now, as you are able, stand and we will greet new members. We welcome you into our religious community in the light of truth and the warmth of love we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Let us worship together in such affection that our differences strengthen one another. And give it up for all of these folks. And I should have had you stay on your feet because we're going to sing Spirit of Life. Our hymn is number 123, and kids and teachers are off to their ingathering and classes. As the college student rang the doorbell and delivered the pizza, the man who answered growled, "What's the usual tip?" Well, sir, the student replied, "This is my first delivery, but the other guys said that if I got $1 out of you, I'd be doing great." "That's so?" grunted the customer. "Well, in that case, here's $10. "Thank you, sir," the grateful student said, taking the bill. "This will be a big help at school." "By the way," the customer asked, "what are you studying?" The student replied, "Applied psychology." What you do will be entirely inadequate, but it is essential that you do it. Freely we have received, freely give. For the good work of this congregation, our offering will gratefully be received. I think what I have to say this morning is best considered an awkward potpourri of this and that, vaguely attentive to the welcoming of new members, and an awkward celebration of the church itself. For starters, this week, Dean Groves brought to me a big fat file of orders of service and old newsletters that his mother had collected. One of them was from 1985, and it included a sampler of First Parish trivia, including highest and lowest notes possible on the First Parish Hook and Hastings organ, 4 octaves above concert A, 7,050 pulses per second. Can we do that? Do it. Do it. I want to hear the highest note possible.
You've got to turn it on.
All right, now we're going to go to the lowest, which is 4 octaves below middle C, 16 pulses per second. Got it? Coming to church is an educational experience. In this same collection of First Parish trivia, it was recorded that First Parish's finest hour was the reading of the Declaration of Independence by the Reverend Penniman in 1776. Smallest attendance at regular church service, 1. That was Lou Smith, who was Art Smith's father, and that was in the spring of 1937 when Lou Smith was the sexton. He was the only person in church. Briefest formal association with First Parish. Someone named Steve Levy was photographed on the day he joined, and he was never seen again. We hope that some of our new members will come again. The largest bequest to the church, $300,000 from Abigail Bacon. There's that plaque on the wall and this chandelier, and you wonder why that room up there is called the Bacon Room? Hey, we could name something after you. This pulpit, maybe. Hint, hint, hint. Parishioner who delivered the longest announcement. Lois Pulliam in 1973, and when Lois was finished, the minister announced the number of the closing hymn. That was in the days when we allowed free-for-all announcements. They did not note who preached the longest sermon because, well, in 1985, I wasn't yet the minister. Don't worry, Lisa. 10 minutes is what I've got today. I titled our sermon Awkward Thoughts because I've been reading a book titled The Awkward Thoughts of W. Kamau Bell. He is a comedian. Somebody recommended it. I had never heard of him. Do some of you know his name? Any hands? Some know. Two people know his name. Oh well. This book is subtitled Tales of a 6'4" African-American, heterosexual, cisgender, left-leaning, asthmatic, black and proud blurred. You know what a blurred is? A black nerd. Mama's boy, dad, and stand-up comedian. The book, I found, is kind of funny, but I'll save you some time because the jacket of the book is absolutely the best. It says that it's a humorous, well-informed take on the world today, tackling a wide range of issues such as race relations, fatherhood, the state of law enforcement today, comedians and superheroes, right-wing politics, left-wing politics, failure, his interracial marriage, white men, his upbringing by ideologically opposite parents, his early days struggling to find his comedic voice, then his later days struggling to find his comedic voice, why he never seemed to fit in with the black comedy scene or the white comedy scene, how he was a black nerd way before that became a thing, how it took his wife and an East Bay lesbian to teach him that racism and sexism often walk hand in hand, and much, much more. And here are some of the chapters of this book. My awkward youth, my awkward blackness, my awkward start in stand-up comedy, my awkward middle in stand-up comedy, my awkward sexism, my awkward love of a white woman, awkward thoughts about white guys, my awkwardly awesome parenting skills. You get the idea. Like I say, I'm saving all of you some time because I'm working my way to the back cover, which is the best. This is our scripture reading for the morning. Awkward is a feeling that we are taught to run from. Currently, awkward is something to be avoided. If someone says to you, "Would you like to have an awkward conversation with me?" the answer is always, "No, I would not." Meanwhile, all real and lasting changes in the world began with awkward conversations. As a black person, I really feel that every change we have had for the better in America was just the result of an awkward conversation. Hey, Abraham, what do you think about maybe freeing those slaves and letting the South pay people to pick their cotton? The civil rights movement of the 1960s was just different types of black people, from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King Jr., having conversations with America about the best way to go about getting some freedom. Hashtag Black Lives Matter is another way to have that same conversation when you realize that the people you were talking to weren't paying attention the first million times. America recently had an extremely productive, awkward conversation about marriage equality. And now we are beginning to think about having an awkward conversation about transgender people. And we are starting that conversation in the most awkward place to have a conversation: the bathroom. Everything gets better when it gets awkward. Everything gets better when it gets awkward. Another way of saying this might be, if it's going to get better, it's got to get awkward first. Or it's not going to get better unless and until it gets awkward. A friend of mine used to say, the trouble with changing your life is that you have to change your life to do it. And changing your life, you know, is awkward. We live in a society where people will go to great lengths not to feel awkward, to fit in, to feel comfortable. Suburbia, you know, is sometimes described as a hotbed of rest. In my poll-capping prayer last Saturday, I prayed that we be anxious for our democracy. Anxious as in worried, anxious as in eager. I said, we pray for the comfortable who do not care about anything so long as they are left at ease. We pray for ministers, I said, if there are any in this region, I do not believe there are, who say what is pleasant to hear rather than what is true. I prayed for anxiety, but I really could have prayed for awkwardness. When W. Kamau Bell looked at his life, he discovered a hot, jumbled, awkward mess of asthmatic, black, cisgender, mama's boy, dad, stand-up comedian, and interracial blurredness. And he named those parts of his life. He didn't harmonize them or tie them up in a bow. He just named them. My life is no less awkward. And I am pretty sure that your life is also a hot, jumbled, awkward, and sometimes beautiful, and sometimes pretty funny, and not always pretty funny mess. The folks at Facebook and everybody who is trying to sell us something has our data, and they've segmented our market share so that we stay distracted, amused, and comfortable, content to circulate with people like us, with tastes like ours, such that we never need to feel awkward. And well, should you start to feel awkward, there's probably a pill for that. But be sure to read the warning label on that pill, because to numb our awkwardness is to numb our very soul. Emily Dickinson said, "Much gesture from the pulpit, strong hallelujahs roll. Narcotics cannot still the tooth that nibbles at the soul." Your awkward humanity is the tooth that nibbles at the soul. And finally, that really is why we gather in church. It's awkward here. I honor all among you who have had the guts to walk in our door for the very first time. And those who become members I honor as well. And those who might someday think about becoming members, whether you do or don't. This is a place of awkward conversations, of awkward challenges, of awkward realizations, of awkward truths about ourselves and our world. Church at its best will make you lean forward on one buttock and squirm sometimes.
What's really awkward is going second. So this is my turn, and I'm calling this Awkward for What? With help from my daughter, who likes to brainstorm sermon titles with me. It's her offering. This title is borrowed from the musician Drake's hit song, Nice for What? But fair warning, if you Google Drake's lyrics, you're going to find words that shouldn't even be spoken, much less sung, or even edging up to #1 on the Billboard charts, so don't do that. We're starting with a little awkward reference from the pulpit then. But my thought on this Sunday of welcoming new church members is, what might be good for us about being a little awkward? What usefulness, what purpose could awkwardness have? Could embracing awkwardness even help us do church better? I got to thinking about awkward moments in church, and that got me looking up awkward church signs, of course. You know, other churches' versions of our wayside pulpit sign. Here in New England, we like inspirational quotes lifted from famous writers and thinkers, a thought for the week that we can ponder in passing. But in other parts of the country, they just go for it, taking chances, putting it all out there. And some of the results, especially the awkward ones, are priceless. So here are some of my favorites. This is from the St. Paul United Church of Christ. Best sausage supper in St. Louis. Come and eat, Pastor Thomas Ressler. Here's the New Olivet Baptist Church. Sunday's message, Jesus said, "Bring me that ass." First Pentecostal Church. Tired of being a loser? Turn to God. How about the Calvary Temple Church? We love hurting people. The Church of the Cross has a different take on that. Don't let worries hurt you. Let the church help. And Hilltop Presbyterian just lays it all out there. Welcome back for the first of your 2 visits this year. Rosalie Baptist Church sign lost a letter. Behold, I am making all things new. Signed God. And my personal favorite, Mount Pleasant Bible Church. Do you know what hell is? Come hear our preacher. I thought John would like that one. Now, I'm sure that many drivers and passersby got good laughs out of those awkward signs, but who knows? Maybe those laughs got them to come in and check out the kind of church that wasn't as concerned with perfect phrasing as with reaching out and trying to grab their attention and get them in the door with an eye-catching message. And I know I like my spirituality with humor. So this is New Member Sunday, and since I've only been here a little over 3 months, I guess I still qualify as new. Here are a few observations, a few awkward moments from my time here. First of all, I know I've probably introduced myself to you several times over, maybe more than several times. I start by saying, we very likely already met, but I'm Lisa. And you all have been so kind. Even those of you who say, yes, I'm so-and-so. We've met several times. You say it with a twinkle in your eye, and thank you for that. On Sunday mornings, I know I should greet people in the pews before the service, but not remembering names often makes me hesitate. Even so, I take a deep breath and try not to just talk to those folks whose names I can actually remember. It's embarrassing, right? But I think that awkwardness is part of my job. I think maybe it actually puts people at ease. Being new is awkward for all of us. Having a guest living here in Sanctuary as we do, who is not English speaking, has caused awkward moments for many of us. Trying to speak a second language means making mistakes, and who among us loves to make mistakes, right? Especially adults. I appreciate that Maria will correct me with a laugh when I blunder, which is often, but at least I'm trying. The junior youth group is sometimes less forgiving. One mom shared with me that her daughter told me, Lisa is trying to speak Spanish, but her accent is terrible. Brutal, but likely true. We adults enjoy looking like we have it all together. At coffee hour, potlucks, other events, even just walking into church. Did you ever walk into a church for the first time and worry that you were sitting in somebody's regular seat? Or forget to bring anything for the offering? Awkward. Young people mostly don't worry about these kinds of things. I remember one of my first Sundays here when the kids were singing, and one little girl ran up to join the choir, only to gently be told that it wasn't her group. She just skipped back to her seat with a smile when any adult would have been mortified. One of the things I've learned from our senior minister and my mentor, John, is dare to be awkward in the pulpit, in church, really everywhere in life. It's also called being authentic or true to who you are, and it often means jumping right in even when it might sometimes be better not to jump in. Taking risks, just being yourself. I remember John saying to me early on about some idea I had, go ahead, try it. Maybe it'll work, or maybe you'll make a mess. I've certainly done both. But either way, it's fine. Well, that was refreshing after years of trying to perfect my game in graduate school and internships and training. I have just one other thought about awkwardness. I think it's a way to enter in. If we model the awkwardness of always greeting people we don't know or aren't sure we've already met, attempting things outside our comfort zone, relaxing about our mistakes, and meeting them with humor. I think there's a kind of grace that happens. We make ourselves vulnerable and more available to each other. Our guest here is a great model of that. Here she is in a situation that is, by its nature, scary and isolating, filled with helplessness and incredible vulnerability. And yet she greets each one of us with hugs and kisses, with gratitude and warmth. She has opened herself up to learning a new language, new skills, and meeting many, many, many new people. She showed us that our awkward encounters with each other are blessings. That's grace, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's the kind of awkwardness that church and the world could actually use more of. Amen. Blessed be. And now please rise as you are able and join in singing hymn number 29, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee.
Sufis enjoy telling stories about an enigmatic character named Nasruddin. In one of my favorites, Nasruddin decides to start a flower garden. He prepares the soil, carefully plants the seeds, but when the flowers come up, they are overrun by dandelions. After trying every method he can think of to get rid of them, he finally walks to the capital to speak to the royal gardener. The wise old man suggests a variety of remedies to get rid of the dandelions, but Nasruddin has tried them all. They sit together in silence for some time, and finally the royal gardener looks at Nasruddin and says, "Well, I suggest you learn to love them." May it be so.